Hello everyone, welcome back. I am just having a bit of a play around with Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 7. The next prompt has come out. I'm a little bit behind because I've been off busy with people in hospital, etc. But I've got a little bit of time this afternoon, so I've had a bit of inspiration from looking at lots of people's stuff online. And I've just had a bit of a play with the flowers and the vase, which is the next prompt. I'm finding, I thought I'd want to go blue. So I'll show you what I got out. I got out some blues and immediately thought, no, I don't want blue. There's too much blue if I do that, because that looked like, there's my vase. Well, maybe I do now. There's my blue vase. Maybe. I know there will be other things in front. So this was the strongest contender in the blues. I then had a look at my beautiful bark cloth that I have. I was initially looking at them for the flowers, but then I found this that I just love. So I'm going to use this as the flowers because I love the contrast of the really bright pink roses. And it looks like a rose that I have in my garden. So, and then I had a look at these for the vase and thought, no, they're too much like the pattern in there. So they got junked to the side. Thinking then, okay, I'll try some browns. I didn't like any of my browns. They're all too big a pattern. I did find this fabric that I had, which is actually of ginger jars, but I don't know. I don't have a whole ginger jar, and I don't think I actually want to cut out something that looks like a ginger jar exactly, if you know what I mean. I want to create that image using other stuff. So the other piece that I grabbed was this, just because it's so big and bold, and imagining that as a vase. So that was the other possibility. I guess I cut out this little bit of plastic to create a vase shape so I could have a little bit of a play. It's a pretty dodgy vase shape, but that's okay. I'm trusting that some of it will be hidden. So at the moment, I'm really torn between the brown, which will be quiet, I know, like this. There's the bottom of my roses. And I'm going to cut around some of this, and then I'll reuse some of this brown down on the table. That really does disappear at the moment into the background. Or do I want my blue vase? I might cut a few out and then we can actually try exactly. I'll show you how I'm cutting those out. Really easy, just a water-soluble pen. I found the air-soluble ones just disappear too quickly for me. They're always gone before I can cut them out. So let me just pop that over a little bit so I can find a bit of flat table. This is the only little bit of this left that I have. So I think I only want, I think I want a lot of pattern on there. Let's just have a bit of a play. If I turn that around, this is my vase. Can you see it? It's a bit tricky because it's clear. That might be something you'd see on a vase, just with that bit of, pull it down. Does that work? Let's try that. Let's not overthink it. So if I just draw around it on a very uneven surface, and then I'm going to see how I go out into this bit. That's right. It just means I would have to rely on something covering that bit. Just that way. Or alternatively, up that side. I think these flowers are too similar. So I'm going to cut this bit out and we can have a stick beak at that. And we could just do a bit of a trial and error. Because if I don't like it, I'm sure I'll use it somewhere else. And again, I'm not being too fussy. I don't want this to be precise. Because once you go precise, then everything has to be precise. And then that's not how I sew anyway. I'm a bit of a suck it and see, and I like raw edges and things uneven. Let's have a look. So again, very quickly cut this little guy out to be a vase. Let's compare the blue. So I've got blue. Meh. Blue vase to the brown vase. Yeah, actually I do like that. Ready, brown. Ooh, maybe, see, this might be something else over here. I am leaning towards the blue now. I am going to go trial number 3 and try this guy as well. This is gorgeous, isn't it? Look at that. So if you imagined a vase might have a pattern on it, where, let's have a look, where might the pattern fall? The pattern might fall, so right in the middle, like that. Gosh, that's very symmetrical. It's a bit scary. Or like that. I don't think I like that at all. Or like that. I like that a bit more. Okay, let's try that one. And again, I can always, what happens if I'm just going to drop. Again, don't overthink it, hey. There we go. I've just seen a big snake out in my garden this afternoon, so I'm not doing any gardening just at the moment. Very hard to see. Can you see it? I can just see it. There it is. I'm finding the general edge of it. Lost it completely there. Where is it? Go over it a bit more. I just copied this shape of a vase freehand from a Google search. Put vase outline into Google, and I found this little one that I like. So it is, I drew one side and then fold it in half. So at least if it's wonky, it's going to look slightly symmetrical. Again, I know there's lots of other ways you could do that. You could print one out and cut around it. I think I nearly cut through that. Let's move that out the way. Can I see the return on there? There it is there. I'm just going to go around that again. It's very hard to see. I've been using this little pen a lot. I need a new one. There we go. Now I'm just going to guess from there. Cut out everything that doesn't look like a vase, isn't that what they say? So I hope you've had a good week. It's been a very busy week here and lots going on. Lots of illness, unfortunately. But we're just powering through at the moment, making little moments of positivity where we can. Let's go. Just chuck him out like that. Let's have a look. I am going to just quickly pop that under the iron for 2 seconds, just because I do want this to sit flat. Okay, it's not bad for cutting very randomly by eye. Okay, so vase number 3. Let's have a look. 1. Look, I'm voting that one at the moment. 2, 4, 3. All right. Clear winner, I feel, is that one. So this is our winner. This is our vase. So I need to get going with some stitching. I haven't stitched anything down yet because I think I put this away. My hand was sore. You can see I'm getting there. I've still got quite a bit of swelling here. I'm doing lots of therapy, but I got a bit carried away and made a bag, and then I made something else, and my hand was a bit sore. So I'm going to start by stitching down my backing. I do have the board underneath just so I've got the general size. I'm going to start by stitching all of this stuff down and then cutting the shape a lot more accurately so that when I'm looking at the whole design, I can see a lot more easily how it's contributing to the design. I'm going to do a little bit of stitching. What have I got? 6 minutes so far. A little bit of stitching, just get all this down. And again, I know lots of people are doing beautiful invisible stitching. Nah, I don't know that I could, to be honest. I don't know that I would enjoy it. So I'm just going to go the full railway cottage and do it. I'm just going to have my fan on because it's 400 degrees in here. Why isn't that working? Hang on there. Sorry if you're rattling a bit. Oh, it's better. It's afternoon. What's the time now? 4:34. I think there is a storm coming. So at the moment, what have I stitched down? Let's have a look what I've done so far. I've just stitched down. I can look at the back's the best way. I have done a little bit of stitching. I've stitched down the outline, but I obviously haven't stitched down my, oh yes, I can see where I am. I haven't stitched down this framework. So I'm going to make this look like timber framework. That's my plan. I have absolutely no plan of how to do that yet. I was going to go do some research, but I haven't done that yet. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to find a colour that kind of blends the best, stitch it down so I can take some needles out. What do we want? Let's have a look what's in this one. I don't think that one, but maybe. Maybe if I only sewed horizontally. Let me have a look in my other box. That brown is darker than I remembered. I've got this variegated one. Let's try it. All from Binnies, all of these. I think that's a little bit too chaotic. I might just... The only things that are pinned down now are these ribbons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by sewing the ribbons down, which is designed to look like the paneling in the background. You know, like timber, those beautiful paneling, and then timber sort of framing around it. That's the plan. That's what they're supposed to look like. Yes, big thick one, big thick brown one. I don't know if I will actually get that one on my needle, so I'm going to go in search of some DMC thread, which I don't use much of because I have to pull it apart, and you know, patience is something I'm working on. Okay, I've got a couple here. I might just use a full thickness. What do you think? Perfect. Right, so I'm going to start with some of this. As you know, I like to use a great big piece, so I like to thread needles as infrequently as possible. And I'm going to use the whole thickness of the 6 threads. I'm going to be very positive that they're all going to go through, and they did. The first job is I'm going to just stitch down my paneling, and then I can freely remove the pins and make my work soft so I can work on it with the fun part, which is all the bits at the front. So I have stitched slightly off the edge of this work so that if I do need to fold it around the edge, it still has the, you know, the pattern on it or the picture. I'm just doing a big long running stitch along here. I'll probably do maybe 3 or 4 rows of stitching horizontally here so it looks like a timber almost. I might do a bit of a timber knot hole kind of thing, which I'm, you know, just making up as I go along. And again, sewing through quite a few layers here with my DMC. Trying to be slightly straight because, you know, it's supposed to be wood. Excuse me. And again, this is a really old piece of fabric underneath here. So there's multiple layers. But I do want to just catch that bit of ribbon there. This old brown ribbon I picked up at the Nambour Collectorama a couple of years ago. And I have given that a bit of a plug on here before. It's great. It's worth visiting if you're around. I think they have 3 or 4 a year. They've got a Facebook page, and it's a bit of a luck of the draw, but there generally are some textiles there. Pricing can, you know, as with all of those sorts of things, you can be lucky. Just depends what you want and how many other people want it, I guess. There we go. I'm going to do the bottom edge first. So I do want to stay, you know, reasonably straight, although some of this will be hidden due to the, you know, the items that we're putting on the table in the still life. I really do like the still life style of painting and picture. I'm doing a bit of looking around and research, good old Pinterest, while looking for ideas and for this, and there's some fabulous things out there, and there's some fabulous fabric still lives as well. You know, it is a whole almost art genre on its own. So I'm going there. I'm going to get back up the top now. I'm just going to go straight up like that because you won't see it. It'll be under my little frame here. Whoops. Always too fast for DM. See through it. Grab myself. So if I can get my timber paneling down and my picture frame tacked down, because again I will put some visible stitching on there as a decorative embellishment, and I kind of need to do that before I pop anything over the top of it. So I was looking at the frame that I'm actually going to use. I might even tie some of the elements into that. That's my iron. Just ignore that, it'll stop. One of those ones that turns itself off, because I always forget. So you can see the actual edge of the piece of card that will be supporting this is here, and I've defined that by this line. So I am going to go over, like quite a bit over, so that I do have room to do whatever I need to do at the back of that. So I'm just going to tie this up here, and you're not going to see this, so it doesn't have to look pretty. That little sausage off on down. You know I do love to take pins out. So now I'm just going to fix this a bit. It's a bit wonky, a little bit chunky at the bottom. I've been to the Sunshine Coast and back today already, which is a 6-hour round trip. It's been a fairly busy day. My husband drove down and I drove back in my daughter's car, so the other way around, so that I did get to stitch all the way down. That was good. 3 hours of stitching. I've been working to finish the beautiful little conversation print quilt that Wendy at the Constant Quilter inspired me to make. And then not only did she inspire me to make it, when she saw I was making it, she sent me the most fabulous bits and pieces of conversation prints that are impossible to get now because they're just all out of print. So it is a project that I absolutely love, but it's tiny and it's hand quilted, so it's perfect for the car. The hand quilting has been too fine for me to manage with my sore thumb, but I did okay today. Just want this to be not so thick. I think I'll stitch one side and then be fussy with the other. With having stripes, you can't go wrong, hey, because you can see exactly how straight it is or isn't. And again, I'm not doing invisible stitching. There's some people doing invisible stitching to make this look slightly different, you know, approaching the whole thing a little bit differently, but I'm not, I love the texture that Chunky Monkey stitching does. I'm actually loving this DMC. It's really nice and thick, particularly when I'm trying to make it look like a bit of timber. And again, as you can see in this one, I put all my pins in one direction. So when you're doing this sort of work, if you do that, then you can roll. You know, you can roll one way so that you can actually access what you want to get at without, you know, losing fingers and hurting yourself. Someone's just got home upstairs. Now, the top bit I've managed to make skinnier. What have I done? Okay. These bits of fabric are really old. They're just beautiful original French ticking, this one. And this was an oven glove that I got at Vinnie's. So, you know, one extreme to the other. Nothing like a bit of humble domestic service to make your textiles look fabulously worn and loved and fall out. So I must have stitched that edge down, did I? Yep, oh good. It's a great project, really different. Good job, girls, Sarah and Rachel. It's great to see everyone's different approaches to it too. So my bottom line, it's going to have a tablecloth over it. So I'm just going to pull this through to the back. and tie it off, just so I don't have a bump or a big bit of brown under my white tablecloth. All right, DMC, Onsky. Oh, that's good. It's not going anywhere. It's my vase. You can see what a mess I've made of these. I'm just going to repin them. Hold. These are actually like a, I think they're silk. I don't feel silk, but there's something that I know that if I put them in the iron, they would just dissolve. That fabric, it's like a, maybe it is even some sort of polyester, but they're very old. Too thick. All right, come on. Stay there, you. Okay, let's pin him on. It's as good as it's going to get. Okay, let's see if I can find some more brown for that one. Yes, it was. Filming this. I'm really good at filming and then not checking in, and then I look up and I've either run out of space or my battery's gone flat, or yeah, sorry, it's real, you know, cottage industry. really humble in my studio under my house, just sharing what I love. So let's go. So I'm going to go up under here, and again this bit will be hidden by the frame. Come on through. So I had hoped, and my plan is to post on Monday nights. So that's my plan going forward. As I said, it's been just a crazy couple of weeks. My dad has been very ill. He's in hospital still. I'm not sure when he's going to get out. But we've kind of settled into a routine, as you do when that sort of thing happens. I'm back at work, so I'm just going to prioritise filming whatever little bit of stitching I get done and uploading on a Monday night. So that way my little bucket gets filled, and it helps towards things just being a little bit sustainable. Because you've got to have a bit of something, and I know doing a bit of stitching and something creative really does refill my bucket, so then I can go and do what I need to do for my family, my job. And we were very lucky. Our first week back at school this week was a short week because of Australia Day. But this week is a full week. So just getting my little bit of stitching in today to get me mentally prepared. I seem to have a lot of brown. Now, this bit hasn't fared too badly, and hopefully I can manage it with this big bit of DMC that I've got going here. Take these guys out. Look how nice that texture is. So we'll probably do another one up the middle, ensuring that they're uneven, of course, so that view. This is a nice small piece actually for me. It feels small because it's the size of my picture frame. So for me, I'm used to working on quite big pieces, so this is feeling really easy to manipulate. So it's good. It's a nice little project to get back into stitching. I've missed it. You know, just be grateful for your hands and look after them, because I've really November the 15th is when I injured my hand, and it's still not, you know, at the OT on Friday, and I've got a surgical visit on the end of February, but this OT has basically said expect another 4 to 5 months of pain and rehabilitation, because it's just one of those things that takes ages to heal. Your thumb. So look after your hands, please. all of a sudden you realise all the things, not only things you need to do, the things you want to do, and you can't do them. You have to do things like watch television. Seriously, isn't that miserable? So passive. Watching TV without doing something in my hands is just like a type of torture. I've been doing a jigsaw puzzle, been walking. Not the same as creating, because I haven't been able to play guitar. But I'm all good now. I'm getting there slowly. I'm just thinking, I wonder if you could do, let's just have a little bit of a trial and error. I wonder if you could do like a little, think of wood paneling if it had a little knot in it. So let me just think if I did a curve. Might do a curve like that. This could be a disaster. Let's just try it. Maybe the thread's too thick. No, I think the thread's too thick. I'm just going to do a straight line instead down the middle. Worth a try. I think if you had a single thread, I'm going to have a look for what I'm going to do on this frame anyway, so I'm happy for this just to be straight. So I'm stitching this onto just a piece of sheeting. It's just a cotton polyester sheet that I picked up at Vinnie's for a couple of bucks. It's a clean one. It was unused and it's perfect for this sort of thing. It's really easy to sew through. There's no edges, there's no hems. So it just gives me a really easy background, and it's strong. You know, it's quite tightly woven. Nothing's going to move once it's stitched on. That's my little bit of paneling there. Let me have a look at the 3 layers. At the moment, I prefer the 2 to the 3. So I'm going to leave those 2. I'm going to leave that while I have a little bit of more consideration about it. Now over here for my frame, I'll roll you up. I'm going to tack this down. I'm going to tack this down with a hemming stitch. So lo and behold, I am going to do an invisible stitch. I might even do it with this really fine one. So remember Mrs. Sutton at Toowoomba State High School, she taught me how to hem. And I'm still at it, Patsy. I still remember how you taught me to hem, and I still remember how you taught me to sew a button on. So they're probably 2 of the most useful things I got from my education. I did want to do woodwork, but when I went to school, girls weren't allowed to. But, you know, Patsy was great. I remember her home economics lessons with really happy memories. Okay. I'm going to hem it like you would hem along the inside of a and up hem. Catch you first. There we go. There. We should use a finer needle, but I'm not going to. All the way through. Okay, now I'm going to go a bit further under so you don't see it. In the fold. I'm going to come kind of at the bottom of it. There we go. And again, I am using a big needle. You're probably all saying use a smaller needle, but I don't like them. Where have I come out there? Underneath and up, and then along the fold. God knows I hemmed my school dress enough times. I think in those days you'd get one in grade 8 that was massive and you just got it let down every year. Having said that, I didn't grow a lot, so I probably didn't have to let it down that much. So I hope your New Year's going well. I hope your family are well, because health is everything. Health and mental health is everything. So it's a big year this year. My daughter's having a baby in May. We've had a few complications, but she's okay. And my dad's not great. So, you know, there's going to be some big changes this year. It's a year of transitions, I think. It's a big year of work for me. I really want to spend some time making sure that every week I get to do things that I love. So this is part of that. And I love going online and just, I think the community is so giving and sharing, and there's no big secret cabal, or everyone's just really happy to share ideas and things. The amount of beautiful mail that I've got with treasures that have just been gifted to me over the last, 6 months has been incredible. And, when Mum pops down to Brisbane to see her quilting girls, she comes back with just treasures for me. So I'm very, very grateful, and it just gives me all of this space and resources to come and fill my little funny bucket that needs to be filled this way, as yours does if you're watching this video, so you understand. I'll get you at the corner there and just pop straight down just to hold that little miter in place, even though it's not perfect. I don't want to be too perfect because that's a lot of pressure. I am not a precise stitcher at all. I'm just going to put another pin here because it's all a bit floppy. And I am going to just cut this little guy off. There's no place sticking out that side. Come on, you. My thread's tight again. Okay. To give myself a bit of space to work here. I pulled that too tight, did you see? And it's pulled that out of position. So I need to just repin that. A bit carried away there, so there we go. Better. I can pretty much. Some of the things I like the best in my life have happened when I've made a mistake or sewn something too tight or too close or too big, and had to find a way to fix it. I have made some really good progress on my Home is Where the Heart Is quilt. It's not going to be sent off to the Australian Quilt Show this year. I did do an entry for on the map, and I did that. I did a lot of it on the machine when I was unable to hand sew, so I really struggled with that quilt because I just didn't like it. And since I've been able to do a little bit of hand sewing, I've done some finishing on it by hand, and I like it a lot more. I don't love it, but I'm going to send it off, and I really like having a deadline because otherwise I tend to just, chase 33 rabbits at once. And is that saying, a man who chases 2 rabbits doesn't catch any, and I'm usually chasing, many. So I like having a deadline to work to, and I'll send it off. Yeah, it's finished. The thing that I did love about it is I have hemmed it. Bound it. I was trying to find a way to bind it, and because a lot of it is machine sewn, I struggled. I thought, I can't. It's too straight. It's too. it's too different for me. But I've actually bound it with Suffolk puffs, and I love it. I love the Suffolk puff binding. I mean, it was a lot of Suffolk puffs, and it was a lot of hand sewing. My hand did really well. I did have to ice that little sucker afterwards. But I just have found this new thing. So, unfortunately now it means I am going to have to make a ton more Suffolk puffs, which is good. I can do that in front of the TV. That's a good evening job. And, finishing off a quilt with Suffolk puffs is not for the faint of heart, I can tell you. I just basically folded them over the edge. Yeah, I'll show you. Just folded them over the edge and then hand sewed them on both sides. Can you see? Just love it, and it gives it such a weight. So that was a really good project, just to get me back into the rhythm of doing something every day. And of course then I got obsessed and had to sew 7,000 Suffolk puffs on, as you do. And I'm thinking where else I can use Suffolk puff binding. Again, not for the faint of heart, but very, very rewarding. Having said that, you know, it was a couple of days stitching, a couple of hours a day. Sit down and set yourself a Suffolk puff limit. I think I'm going fairly straight. So again, I'm just doing like a slip stitch here, a little hemming stitch just to keep it in place. I'm going to try and find a way. This is meant to be a big painting in the background. So I'm going to try and find a way to do some embellishment on here. It's a good way for me to do some upskilling with my embroidery stitches to make it look like a timber frame with some sort of ornate, you know, finish on it. So for this stitching, just in the big slidey bit, was hemming it, it would probably be a little bit closer together, but this isn't going to have any pressure on it. It's just to keep it in place while I put the next thing on. And so when it came to the flowers for the next element of this Roxy's project, I literally went around and took things off the wall to try because I've got a few bunches of flowers in needlepoints on the wall, but the one that I've decided on doesn't have a vase, which is good. I think it was too much when the whole thing was a needlepoint. It doesn't have a vase. It's just this fabulous, really brightly coloured bunch of roses on this horrible poo brown background, which is gorgeous. And so I'm going to use them, and I am going to cut around them. I'm going to use some of the blue elsewhere, and I'm going to create a vase for them to sit in. Right, so I'm just going to go back down the other side, I think. Yes, I will. Start with. So I'm just going to pause that. Right, I'm going to do this little bit of stitching, and I'll come back to you when I'm done, because it's going to take me a minute. I'll come back to you when I've stitched around. See you in a minute.